What do you say, everybody? It's time for Monday Night Quarterback. Can you believe it? We are back, and that means Alabama football is back as well. Monday Night Quarterback is always brought to you by Westgate Luxury Condominiums right there, a football throw away, maybe a field goal away from Bryant-Denny Stadium. He's Kyle Henderson. I'm Mick Gillispie. We got a great show for you tonight. Kyle, a lot going on, and before we even get into what's going on, Alabama today with another huge commitment. And, on the site, we keep everyone updated on that. But from Hewitt Trustful, a defensive lineman, got him over Tennessee, Clemson, some other schools. And he just committed, as people saw here on our channel, Hunter Osborne.
Yeah, I mean, Hunter, and he's a big boy. I mean, let's get that sized up correctly, Chris, on there. Hunter's a monster, and I think it's a really big pickup. We talked to Andrew Bone earlier about kind of what he brings to Alabama in terms of the sheer size. I mean, and I think when you look to his highlight film, I mean, he's got a gigantic motor. I think this is a really big pickup here. You're looking at the rankings for On3, and really Nick Saban continues this incredible run. Alabama ended hot in July, and you start hot in August. And I think tomorrow is going to be another special day for the Crimson Tide. So you get Osborne, and I was watching it, his commitment. I think a lot of people were clearly on social media, and I think just the well-spoken young man that he is, kind of that sense of being humble and really, really excited to just kind of hone in and get ready to contribute for his team this coming senior season, but also has bigger aspirations. And I thought it was really impressive that he said, who is going to develop you? He didn't say NIL. He didn't say, about getting paid. It was like, who is going to develop you into the player that you can be? And clearly, I think that is something that Nick Saban can do better than anybody else. You look at the track record for the NFL, and I think NIL could be short-lived for a lot of these guys, but the long-term play is clearly the NFL. So Alabama adding Hunter Osborne, gigantic pickup for the class of 2023. Alabama straight loaded going into this class. So really big pickup as we start the month of August.
Yeah, number one recruiting class, something we've seen a lot of. All right, let's talk about our business, your business. Back on, as people saw last night, right when you could talk about it, you're on, you're talking about it midnight. BamaInsider On3.
Yeah, we're really excited to be a part of the On3 network. We moved from Rivals.com. We had a really successful run at Rivals. A lot of good people there, treated me really well, was able to put food on the table for my family through Rivals for 16 years. So I'm forever grateful to the people that I worked with at Rivals. But we moved to On3, and I think with On3, we're really excited to utilize their database. And if you can pull up that image again, Chris, of the database and kind of everything that kind of goes in from the analytic perspective, that's something that we're really excited to work with. I'm a huge analytics person, so I was really interested in that. But overall, sometimes if there's a good change for you to, we all go through changes, and I think this was the right play for us at the right time. No disrespect, clearly, to Rivals. It just, I always wanted to honestly work with Shannon Terry. And when you get a call from Shannon Terry and somebody who's done such an amazing job building up Rivals, then 24/7, and now starting to build On3. In fact, this is the first anniversary of that. I have one plaque, and I said this last night. I have one plaque on the wall. I don't care about any other plaques. It was when I got my first 100 subscribers for NM Preps, and having, it's signed by Shannon. And I never even met him. And then I went out to dinner with him and got an understanding of kind of the philosophy. And those are the type of people that you want to be around. How good do you want to be? I always talk about, dogs want to work with dogs. And, that's the type of mindset that where I'm at in my career. I mean, how passionate I am about the business, about Alabama football, just in my life in general. So in order to get that opportunity, you really couldn't turn it down. So Andrew Bone, myself, now part of the On3 network.
Yeah, and also part of On3, a lot of other really talented people, not just with the Bama Insider site, but all the way through.
Yeah, absolutely. And a lot of people asking me about Trey Yanity. Where is he at? Yes, we are able to get him a full-time job at On3 as well. He's reports directly to me. So my role at On3 is I'm the senior director of YouTube operations with an emphasis still on Alabama football, which means I get to help grow other YouTube channels on the On3 network. So today I was in meetings all day helping strategize for Kentucky Sports Radio, On Texas Football, the Wolverine, Husker Online, Vol Quest. So I want to make all those channels grow. They're all under my business division, along with this Alabama channel, which is still Bama Insider. So Trey is a producer behind the scenes, sometimes on screen, but yes, we are able to hire him full-time. Really excited about his career. And I told him he's kind of in a similar position that Chris Daughtry, our producer's in right now, is like, hey, let me mentor you, stick with me, follow my lead, and we're going to do great things. So, yeah, Trey definitely taken care of. And, of course, I had to bring my boy Mick on as well. So, you know, we're taking care of the whole family, and, you know, everybody's good to go as we start the 2022 college football season.
Yeah, I'm excited, man. I mean, with you, I'm excited. And also, you guys in the comments section, it is great to see you guys again, man. And I said this last year. We'll do the show on Sunday night. We'll take your calls, you know, after football games. We'll do all the stuff that we always have, and we're going to add a lot more to it. But great to see everyone out there. Like and subscribe. Give us a thumbs up as you hang out with us tonight. Share, tell your friends about it. This is the hottest channel in Bama sports, and now we're with the best brand in Bama sports. So, and really in the country. So it's only going to get better, and I think that it's been really good so far. All right, Kyle. Switching gears, let's talk about the biggest question Alabama has going into fall camp.
I think when you look to Alabama, and I put up this diagram yesterday, and I kind of hone in almost on the offensive line. And I know there was kind of, you know, there were some questions about, you know, who's where, but I think it starts up front with the offensive line. Clearly, I don't know who's going to be the right guard or the left guard. You could swap Emil and Cohen, and we'll have Clint Lamb, our team guy, talk in just a few minutes about that. But I think it all starts with the offensive line. And when you look to the offensive line for Alabama, what is going to really shake out once we get to that Utah State game? Is Tyler Steen going to be the tackle that we think he could be? Is it going to be JC Latham? I actually wanted to kind of spot shadow the offensive line as a whole. I have all these Nick, this is what I do. I just grind it, man.
I love this stuff.
I put together all this stuff, and I want to circle. I circled these guys right here: J.C. Latham, Seth McLaughlin, Tyler Booker, Tyler Steen, Emil Ekiyor. What to expect from these guys? And when you look to Alabama's overall offense, I mean, there's offensive line, there's a lot of guys, but most importantly, Mick, I think, you know, working with Eric Wolford and the new offensive line coach, I think that's going to be really, really beneficial. I think a lot of people had issues with Doug Marrone, who was a coach for at the NFL, but I don't know how much it transitioned to the college level. So when you look to the offensive line coaches or the offensive line coach that Alabama recently added, I've heard some great things about Wolford. But yeah, I think, you know, it kind of starts with, you know, that offensive line. And if they can protect clearly the best player in college football on the offensive side, which is Bryce Young, and can't wait to see what he can do in the backfield along with Jahmyr Gibbs.
Yeah, I'm excited about Jahmyr Gibbs too. I mean, look, if these guys block a little bit, he can catch, and he's one of the best kind of dual threat running backs because he's such a good receiver in the country.
Yeah, and in fact, that's really interesting that you brought that up, Mick, because he is actually at the end of the season last year, and he came over here from Georgia Tech. He was graded out as the #1 running back pass catcher in all of college football. He had the highest grade. So you look at the production a couple years ago. Remember when Najee Harris was here? And I'm not comparing Jahmyr Gibbs to Najee Harris. So I think he's going to be really good. But one thing that Najee did so well was catch the football out of the backfield. I think he had 42 receptions or something like that. And I think it was kind of overshadowed just because of the season that Najee had, but an absolute beast. And I think if Gibbs can continue to add that element as well and be a check down guy for Bryce when Bryce needs to, you know, dump off the football, or if they want to get creative back there, I think Jahmyr Gibbs is certainly going to be somebody that they can rely on.
Hanging out with Kyle Henderson, we're going to have Clint Lamb and Jimmy Stein on Monday Night Quarterback, again brought to you by Westgate Luxury Condominiums right there next to Bryant-Denny Stadium. Next time you come to town, you need to check out Westgate. Position battles, Kyle, going into camp. Which ones have you circled? What are you looking at? And maybe even think about if maybe we know who the starter is going to be, but someone else could possibly be pushing them for playing time. You know, like kind of like Dallas Turner last year. You kind of knew there was going to be a point where he was going to emerge.
Yeah, I looked to the corner position. I guess you could put Kool-Aid, Quincy McKinstry in this group as well. I have him on that other corner spot. But I think Eli Ricks, Kyrie Jackson, and Kool-Aid, who is going to be that corner that really steps up? And the reason I asked that is because Nick Saban even asked that during SEC Media Days, and he works directly with the corners every single day at practice. And he said that we don't return a lot of experienced corners into the season. I know Kool-Aid got some time last year. Eli Ricks, he was injured. Kyrie Jackson got some spot time, but they are inexperienced at that particular position. I think in this particular formation on the defensive side, of course, I didn't add the star position players, Brian Branch or Malachi Moore, but I think overall the defense is solidified. I think Jalen Moody has a lot to prove at that inside linebacker position, but he is a redshirt senior. That's a lot of experience. And then I think Alabama will be able to really rotate this interior defensive line. Justin Ebogbe, Tim Smith, Byron Young. I think they have a lot of moving parts, but I think on the outside edge, William Anderson and Dallas Turner, probably the biggest tandem in all of college football. And I think the most dangerous. And I know I said that Bryce is the best player in college football in offense. I think William Anderson is the best player in college football overall. I think that's how good he is. And I think, you look at the season he had last year, which was amazing. I think that going into this season, my goodness, I mean, Dallas Turner, William Anderson, and don't sleep on Dallas Turner at all. Like he's a few steps behind William Anderson, which is a gigantic compliment.
What's up, no doubt about it.
Sean in Huntsville, man. What's up, man? I'm glad to see you. All you guys, I missed you guys. It's good to see you guys. Big Buck, Sean, Hunter, some new faces in there. So what's up? What's up, everybody? So good to see you guys.
Yeah, it really is.
Yeah.
Like and subscribe. Hit the thumbs up as you hang out. On3, the new home of Bama Insider as of today. Talking about the battles that we expect going into camp. Do you see anyone that's like a Dallas Turner kind of nipping at the heels of a guy like Trey Sanders, last year, or Drew Sanders, beg your pardon, where you're like, hey, as soon as this guy gets in, we saw Dallas Turner, he was just yoked up. We knew he was going to be a beast. Is there anyone like that sticks out to you?
I think there's, several guys, that are on the come up, that are coming along from the outside linebacker position. I think way out, maybe a couple years is Jaheed Campbell. I think, the 5-star out of the IMG Academy. I think he's somebody who could certainly turn into somebody who people are talking about. Chris Broswell, I think, is a name that people are really excited about at that edge rusher position. But I think right now the two biggest names that everybody's talking about, William Anderson and Dallas Turner at that position. And then So I look to the defensive side at the linebacker play, but that secondary is so loaded. And people calling out for Brian Branch, of course. I mean, Brian Branch is, my goodness. I mean, you have him, Jordan Battle, Malachi Moore, DeMarco Helms. I mean, the list kind of goes on and on. I mean, the team on the defensive side just really loaded up. And I think Nick Saban hit on such a great quote during SEC Media Days. He said, look, Pete Golding and Bill O'Brien each back for this coming season. I mean, Mick, I've been here now for 5 seasons. I've had so many offensive coordinators, right? You have Bill O'Brien, you have Mike Loxley, Brian DeBall, Steve Sarkisian, Bill O'Brien making his second year with Alabama. Hate him or love it, I think that the overall continuity is going to be really good for Alabama's overall offense and going to help Bryce Young continue to develop.
Couldn't agree with you more. What do you got going on this week before we get to Clint Lamb? And where can we check you out, Kyle?
Man, you follow me on Twitter. Hey, I have to make an announcement. If you guys are wondering where I'm at on the message boards for On3, based on my contract, I can't post on the message boards for a year. So you can follow me on Twitter, follow me on YouTube right here, and enjoy Clint Lamb. Clint Lamb coming up next. He's our team guy at On3 for the Alabama market. He does a really great job in terms of we have to take that banner down, Chris. We can't. That's another thing is we can't post links. So go ahead and take that down, Chris. We'll call that an error, but we can't point people to sign up. So Clint Lamb is a fantastic team writer. I can't wait for you guys to get to know Clint Lamb more. And, without further ado, let's get Clint on, and I'll catch up with you guys soon. We got Clint and you got Jimmy Stein, who is our Alabama team expert, coming up on this show. But let's get Clint on, and I'll catch you guys back at or right here on our next YouTube channel. Thanks for watching, guys.
Hey, good to see you, Kyle. I like the beard looks sharp right now.
Yes, dialed. Yeah, dialed. Yeah.
You do look dialed in, man. Great to see you. All right, let's bring Clint on. And before we say hi to Clint, let me remind all you guys that Monday Night Quarterback here on Bama Insider is brought to you by Westgate Luxury Condominiums, right there next to Bryant-Denny Stadium. You know it. It's that beautiful building. You can walk right across. They got the oversized balconies. You got the amazing kitchens. You got units from 1 to 5 bedrooms that go from 900 to 3,000 square feet. They're beautiful. The service is awesome. We also do our post-game show from the Skygate Club on the roof after every home game. So maybe, Clint, you're going to have to come hang out with us if you like a good time. I don't know if you'll be finished before we are, but welcome aboard, my friend. How you doing?
I'm doing fantastic, Mick. How you doing today, man?
I'm good. I'm so happy. I might want you to get that guitar and play for us a little bit behind you right there.
You will be sadly disappointed. It is all for show. I had great intentions as far as when I first bought it. Thought I was going to be able to have the time to learn how to play it. I know how to play a couple of chords, but for you and for everybody that's listening in, I'll refrain from, playing.
For right now. Well, let's talk about your role on On3.
Yeah, I'm the team guy, right? I'm the guy, you got Andrew Bone covering recruiting, got Joseph Hastings covering recruiting. They're talking about all the guys who Alabama's targeting, who they want. And then once they get on campus and they're part of the current roster, that's where I come in. So covering the current team, covering press conferences, practices, Nick Saban, the players, giving a little bit of an analytical approach. I think that's what's actually got me into wanting to cover sports was a lot of the sitting around watching film. Mm-hmm. I was doing that stuff in my lunch break back when I had the standard typical 9 to 5. So yeah, I'm the team guy, man. I get to cover all the fun stuff, all these national championships. That's my role.
Oh, that's a lot of fun. Where are you from and how long have you been covering Alabama? Because I know I've been following you for a while.
Yeah, I'm from Athens, Alabama, which is up near the Tennessee state line, kind of near Huntsville, Madison area. Ended up going to school at Birmingham Southern and then ended up just sticking around in Birmingham once I got done. That's actually where I'm located right now. But I lived up in Tennessee in Sevierville for 3 years when I was younger. And I saw on your Twitter handle, do you have something to do with the Tennessee Smokies?
I've been the broadcaster for a long time.
That's awesome. That was the first baseball games I ever went to, as far as minor league or major league or anything like that. It was Tennessee Smoky games when I was younger. And I remember they had I think it was Scott Solman, but they had "I'm a Soul Man" playing as his walkout song as a kid. He was, I don't even know if he was good. I just loved that song and thought it was a great walkout song based off of his last name. So when I saw that you worked for the Tennessee Smokies or covered them, I thought that was pretty cool. Definitely a blast from the past.
Yeah, well, we'll have to get you to some games when we're in Birmingham in a couple of weeks. That's
Absolutely.
The other job, it's like, being an Alabama guy and getting to cover the Crimson Tide I love it. I'm sure just like you do, and it's been so much fun watching the process that Nick Saban's put together. I would talk about it a lot when I was at school. Alabama wasn't very good. So it's nice to see, really amazing to see what Alabama's been doing under Nick Saban. And I mean, we're kind of a little bit numb to it right now, but when you look at Alabama's offensive depth chart, what are your thoughts?
I think it's a national championship caliber offense. I just think the pieces are there, the talent's there. It's finding the right fit. There's definitely going to be question marks. I don't think at this point you can look at any college team, regardless of what they lost. I mean, you can look at Georgia and all their losses, or you can look at, a school like Ohio State that didn't really suffer a lot of crippling losses. And you can say, they're a national championship caliber team if they get the right pieces in place. For Alabama, with their question marks, a lot of people are going to question, or ask questions at, the receiver position or at offensive tackle, really along the offensive line in general. But they got talent at both spots. It's just a matter of determining who goes where and who ends up being, the pecking order at receiver, who ends up protecting Bryce Young's blind side, who ends up playing the other tackle spot. So the depth chart is set up extremely well. It's not a sure thing like the defense, or at least what we think the defense is going to be, but it definitely sets up nice for, a national title run.
We lose Evan Neal. I mean, one of the second guy on the offensive line drafted, or offensive lineman drafted. Who replaces him, and how do you replace him? Because to me, I think he was one of the 5 best offensive linemen that Alabama's had since Nick Saban's been there.
definitely the most, had the best skill set, just from a height, weight, speed, raw talent, absolutely the best offensive lineman that I saw, come through and play for Nick Saban, at least since he got to Alabama. I would also argue from a technical standpoint or anything like that, certainly up there as well. But I think Alabama is in good shape trying to replace him. You're never going to be able to replace a top 10 pick with just anybody. There's going to be a little bit of a drop off. It doesn't matter who it ends up being. It could be Tyler Steen, which is who we all expected to be, the Vanderbilt transfer. It could be Amari Kite. It could be Kendall Randolph, two, seasoned veteran players who's at least been in the system for several years. It doesn't matter who it ends up being. It's not really about replacing all of the production or the talent that he brought to the position. It's about limiting, how big of a drop off there is. And, I've talked to a lot of people about Alabama's offensive line and kind of how, I think that it could end up being better. A lot of people say, okay, it wasn't great last year and you're losing your best player in Evan Neal. How in the world is it going to be better than last year? I think the most important part is Eric Wolford, getting him as your offensive line coach. I know the coaching staff has been extremely high on him. You talk about, really last year, not to single anybody out. That's not the intention here, but any opposing defense that was coming into a game against Alabama, you could safely assume that you were going to be able to apply consistent pressure coming off of Alabama's right side. That right tackle position, there was some vulnerability there and defenses knew it. And so you could guarantee pressure on Bryce Young fairly consistently from that spot. And then wherever you got it throughout the rest of the offensive line, which certainly there were leaky spots at other places, given, on a snap to snap basis throughout the entire season. But when you're getting, we're able to get that consistent pressure right off the bat coming off of Alabama's right side, that's certainly going to set you up for a lot of success. I think with JC Latham, you're going to get, some early season, trying to work some things out, work the kinks out a little bit. I don't think he's going to be perfect, but I think he is the right man for the job. Granted, I'm not going to say that I'm guaranteeing that he's going to start. If Kendall Randolph ends up kicking over to the right side, if he loses that left tackle battle, maybe Amari Kite, who knows, maybe even Tyler Steen, if for whatever reason he loses it, then maybe JC Latham will face more competition. But assuming JC Latham's going to be the guy on that right side, I think it's going to be an improvement. He does have some experience. He's going to have to learn to play in space compared to playing in a phone booth there at guard. But I think he's certainly got the talent to be able to do that. And then you look at the offensive line as a whole. I think it's, you don't see any spot right now and say that's where we're going to be able to attack Alabama when we play Alabama. And I think that that's where things can be a little bit more improved compared to last season is, the collective group as a whole is, good enough where, you can maybe account for the loss of Evan Neal and fix some of the leaky spots at other places as well.
And I kind of led you in this direction, but do you think that's the biggest question, the offensive line, or is it receiver? If you had to pick one of the two.
That's a tough question. I think it depends on the day that you ask me. I think that is Alabama's two biggest questions is wide receiver and offensive line. And really, like I said, the offensive line has talent, right? I mean, you have plenty of options. It's not like Alabama. You're not looking at tackle right now and saying who's going to be that guy, because right now we don't know. There's no options. The reason that we don't know is because there are a lot of options. It could be Amari Kite. He's a former top 100 prospect. He's been in the system. Kendall Randolph's got plenty of playing time as a blocking tight end in heavy packages. He's played some offensive tackle. You've got Tyler Steen, a 3-year starter at Vanderbilt, who's got plenty of experience, started 33 games throughout his career. You've got JC Latham, a former 5-star talent consensus, On3 consensus 5-star plus player. And then you got Tyler Booker, another 5-star. You've got plenty of options there. It's just determining who the best player for that, specific position is. At receiver, it's very similar, right? We think Jermaine Burton is going to be the number one option, but behind him, you really don't know who it's going to be. I mean, I could rattle off Corey Brooks, JoJo Earl, Trayshawn Holden, obviously Tyler Harrell coming in. There's 4 or 5 other guys who I think could get into that mix. It's not really about determining who starts. It's about determining who's, as far as target share is concerned, who's going to get the targets, who's going to be the go-to guy in certain specific situations. In the past, you've had receiving groups that It really didn't matter who was lining up where, who was running what route. Everybody kind of was similar in their skill set enough where guys were playing paper, rock, scissors to determine who ran a certain route, score a touchdown. That's not the way that this receiving group is set up. Tyler Harrell, in a lot of situations, if you have something designed specifically for a vertical threat, he's going to be your guy that's running that vertical route. And there's a lot of that going on. So I'll be very curious to see how it ends up shaking out. But I do want to reassure fans that I think there are plenty of options there. It's just a matter of determining, pecking order.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And I'm interested to see if these guys are able to step up. They obviously transferred to catch passes from Bryce Young. And we've kind of seen flashes of what Burton can do when he was healthy at Georgia. But a different type of quarterback last year with the mailman throwing him the football compared to what we'll see with this Alabama quarterback this year, Bryce Young, who's a gunslinger. Let me switch gears, though, before we get to Jimmy Stein. And let me ask you about the defense. Your take on Jalen Moody at inside linebacker.
Well, that's one of the positions on defense. There's a couple of them that you're not entirely sure about. Who's going to start at corner opposite Kool-Aid McKinstry and who's going to start at inside linebacker next to Henry To'oTo'o. And they're like there are at a lot of places. There's a reason that Alabama's the national title favorite. You look at these spots and you don't say, well, this is a guaranteed weakness. There's question marks. You're uncertain of how things are going to shake out, but I think they got a couple of good options in an inside linebacker. One of those good options is Jalen Moody. And I think it was so pivotal for him to come back. And I don't think people realize this, but if he doesn't return, Henry To'oTo'o is your only experienced linebacker. You look at Kendrick Blackshire, you look at Ian Jackson, you look at Jahad Campbell, Sean Murphy, Deontay Lawson. He's a second-year player, but he didn't play any. Mm-hmm. So I think that getting another veteran presence back like Moody was very important for Alabama's defense. And, a lot of people understand that from a pure talent standpoint, Lawson is probably much more advanced than Jalen Moody. He can offer you probably a lot more, but I worry about the consistency factor. And if he's not ready to do his job on a down-to-down basis, a guy like Jalen Moody, he might not make, a ton of big game-changing plays for you, even though I think that he's certainly capable of that. He's actually a little bit underrated in that regard. But he might just be a steady presence there at inside linebacker. But what you have defensively at all these other positions at outside linebacker, that's where your defense is built around. You got a very talented secondary on the back half of those, inside linebackers, very opportunistic. You got depth. The defensive line, also depth. You got rotation. You got experience. You don't need to have some all-star at inside linebacker. In fact, I think the most important role of Henry To'oTo'o is the fact that not only is he a veteran presence, but he understands what everybody is doing, and he understands how to get guys lined up. If things go wrong, he knows how to combat that. He knows how to counter it, and I think that certainly helps Alabama's defense as a whole. So having a steady presence at like Jalen Moody next to Henry To'oTo'o, if I'm an Alabama fan, I'm not really worried about that. In fact, I would be approaching it like if Deontay Lawson isn't ready to play with consistency, he might make more plays, but he also might give up more plays as well. So it's all about determining where those two guys stand in fall camp. And if the coaching staff trusts Jalen Moody at this point in the season, early on, I think that fans should get on board with that.
Going to be a lot of fun hanging out with you, Clint. How can people follow you on your social media, and what are you working on right now?
Right now, it's all about fall camp. Starts on Thursday. Like I said, press conferences, whether it be players or Nick Saban. There's going to be a ton of actual, who said what, but also we're doing depth chart projections right now. We did the offense earlier today. We'll be doing the defense tomorrow. Questions heading into fall camp, potential breakout candidates. If you want to follow along, obviously, at this point in time, I pretty much live on the message board, but I also am on Twitter at Clint R. Lamb. If you want to follow along, I'd certainly share, some information and some thoughts there. If you follow me, you know that I like to have fun and I'm quite opinionated. But this is just, I'm blessed to be able to do what I do and I enjoy it. So certainly always welcome the conversation. Always like having fun. And Mick, I got to be honest, it was great talking to you tonight, man. You too. I'm looking forward to hanging out with you a lot during this football season, through a whole lot of ups, I hope, and not many downs. But this was really fun. And thanks for coming on Monday Night Quarterback. Absolutely. Look forward to doing it more in the future. All right. That's Clint Lamb, who is
part of On3. And he's going to be covering the Crimson Tide, and you'll be able to watch him here on Monday Night Quarterback and a lot of other videos that we'll have. Jimmy Stein's coming up. As we're getting Jimmy Stein in, let me remind you guys that Monday Night Quarterback is brought to you by Westgate Luxury Condominiums. It's right there next to Bryant-Denny Stadium. I'm talking about like right next to it. There's a road, and then there's Westgate. And you'll know them from the oversized balconies. You'll know it from the amazing units that they have that go from 1 to 5 bedrooms, 900 to 3,000 square feet. You're talking about amazing kitchens that are supplied with the top of the line appliances. You've got great parking. You're talking about, a game day experience that is like none other. I'm talking about on the roof, the Skygate Club. It's amazing up there. Kyle, you've been to the Skygate Club before. That's where we hang out after every single game. We'll be sitting up on the roof. They've got food up there. The view, it's awesome.
Let me tell you. Let me just add on to this.
Take me.
While we let Jimmy get all set. Jimmy, hit the private chat. Let us know you're good. I think he's setting up his camera. I lived at Westgate for the month of May. I lived there. I had Wolf appliances. It was another life at Westgate. I'm telling you, up to the sky deck, we would smoke a cigar in the evening time and just glance at Bryant-Denny Stadium. Man, it was I'm looking to see if we can get Jimmy on. But if we can't get Jimmy on, then Chris, if you can communicate with Jimmy, let's see if we can get his camera good to go. Mick, you can just go ahead and fire me the questions until we get Jimmy set up, and we'll kind of take it from there. But I'm telling you, like Westgate, there's no better experience. And like you said, you could throw a pass to it. Will Riker could hit a field goal from Walk of Champions over to the skybox easy. It'd be too. I mean, so it's a different life over at Westgate. We really appreciate what Westgate does for us here at Bama Insider.
Yeah, it is awesome. So, and if you're coming to town, I mean, you can rent those units for the weekend. Or maybe you have kids, or you personally want to buy one. There's some that are still available. So check it out. But it's a great investment. Not only is it something that's awesome for game days, but a lot of people like to invest in stuff. It really is worth taking a look at. All right, Kyle, Monday Night Quarterback. Let's talk about the transfers. And that's been the big news for Nick Saban.
Hold on real quick, Mick, because someone brought this up in the comment box. Here's a look at the On3 team rankings. I know that a lot of people are curious about the team rankings. And as you know, Alabama just landed Hunter Osborne. We talked about him at the beginning of the show. I know Mick will go back to the transfers, but as you can see, Alabama up to 17 total commits, just ahead of Notre Dame. They have 20 commits, but in terms of, you look at the 5 stars, I think there's a big difference between, Alabama and Notre Dame. Clearly there always is. I'm not trying to throw shade at Notre Dame. It's just like, it is what it is. But here's a look at the On3 rankings as we kind of scroll down. You got Caleb Downs, who's a 5-star, Tony Mitchell, 5-star, Jahleel Hurley, another 5-star, Richard Young. And Richard Young said that he's going to flip a Notre Dame commit today on a social media account. Eli Holsting, a 4-star. Really like this young man's highlight tape and what he brings to the table. So I think there's a lot of people out there that have different rankings or whatever. One of the cool things that I like, Mick, about the overall database on On3 is if you click Caleb Downs, and check this out, fam, you guys are gonna love this. Jimmy, I guess let's see if we can hear Jimmy at first. Jimmy, we're gonna try to buzz you in. Jimmy,
hey, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, but you can't see me.
We can't see you. I've seen you
that's
before.
Probably fortunate for everyone. I'm not super handsome, so that might be fortunate for everyone.
Let's see if I can throw you some sort of graphic or something. I don't know, maybe we could put a fake. We could put your Twitter or something like that.
Yeah, I can't explain why that's not working correctly, but nevertheless, here I am.
Okay, hang on, Jimmy. Let me show everybody this industry comparison. So you go to the database and you click the industry comparison, and as you can see, it has On3, 24/7, ESPN, Rivals, and it shows where the players rank. So, for example, when you're looking at Caleb Downs, you see he's a 4-star on Rivals, a 5-star on On3.
Wow,
and kind of the difference. So, and look, a lot of people in our industry, they say the other site or they're like afraid to talk about other networks. It's fine. We know other networks exist. Like, you deserve to have competition. Like, welcome to the United States of America. Like, competition makes things better. So it's fine. Like, you can talk about other places. Don't freak out. I'll bring up Jimmy Stein's Twitter handle so you guys follow him. He's our team expert, and I promise you, he has a face. I've seen him before. Let me bring it up, and Mick, take it away with Jimmy.
All right. Great to have Jimmy Stein on. Jimmy, tell us what your role is with us here on On3.
Sure. Other than keeping my face hidden, it is, it's, what I like to do the most and what I enjoy the most and what I spend the most of my time on is on the message board, on the Bama Insider message board, because I really enjoy talking with other Alabama fans or subscribers, answering questions, saying whatever's on my mind. I do Alabama football stuff all day long. Like, for instance, apropos of nothing, today I watched the fourth quarter of the Alabama SEC championship game against Georgia. So I had that like fresh in my mind. I had a lot to say about that, so just on the message board all day long and into the evening is sort of my primary role, or what I enjoy doing the most. But I also put out premium content. By that I mean content that it's only for Bama Insider subscribers. Today I finished up a series I'd ranked the entire roster. I went after spring practices. I ranked the roster of everyone that participated in spring practice, who's the best player on the roster, all the way down to, roughly, number 76, and did that all summer long. I've also counted down the days till fall camp starts. Started with 99 days away from fall camp. Now tomorrow will just be 2 days away from fall camp. And the player with the corresponding jersey number, I wrote a whole piece about what I expect to see from that player this fall. So really, it's just following the team, talking about it all day long with Alabama fans. I'm also pretty active on podcasts, radio interviews. A lot of folks see me on Twitter. So just constantly talking about the team, and of course recruiting too. Andrew Bone and Joseph Hastings really cover that for our website, but I love recruiting. I've kept up with Alabama recruiting since the late 80s and know it really well, and was really excited tonight to add Hunter Osborne from Hewitt High School. So just you'll find me on the message board for sure.
Awesome. Yeah, big pickup for the Crimson Tide out of Hewitt Trustful. We talked about it earlier, but it definitely is worth bringing it up again. The defensive lineman picked Alabama over Tennessee, over Clemson, and over some other schools, and Alabama just continues to build what is now a number one recruiting class. But let me ask you this, Jimmy, that's going on right now. Transfers, right? And maybe it's a different game, but when you look at the guys that Alabama has gotten, and I think I might have just lost Jimmy because I don't see him up there anymore.
I'm here.
Okay, you're still there. All right. When you look at the guys that Alabama has added in the transfer portal, who are you most excited about seeing?
Well, I think Jahmyr Gibbs from the Georgia Tech transfer at running back is going to make the biggest impact in terms of, like this thought occurred to me today. I think he's going to sell a lot of jerseys now that that's a thing. Now in the NIL store downstairs, I'll call it the NIL store. It's actually called the Authentic. That's going to open at Bryant-Denny Stadium. I think that Gibbs is going to sell a lot of jerseys to fans. I think people will be really excited about him. But the actual guy that I think will make the biggest difference in terms of the one-loss record to me is Tyler Steen, the left tackle that transferred from Vanderbilt, just simply because it was a bigger hole. I mean, Gibbs is going to be a spectacular running back at Alabama, and I'm excited to see him, as we all should be. But Alabama probably would have been fine at running back with what they had returning in Jace McClellan, Roydell Williams, Trey Sanders. I think they would have played the running back position and been fine. Gibbs is an upgrade, yes, but what Alabama really needed was help up front. And Tyler Steen, he's not going to fill Evan Neal's shoes. He won't be Evan Neal. That's not fair to Tyler or even Evan, frankly. But Alabama needed to plug a hole on the offensive line. And I think Tyler Steen is the most valuable of the transfers, but Jahmyr Gibbs will be the most fun, and he'll be the one that the fans like the most because, fans watch the ball understandably, and
Yeah.
Jahmyr Gibbs will have the ball in his hands, whereas Tyler Steen will be up there with Javion Cohen and Emil Ekiyor and J.C. Latham just sort of doing the damage up front. But Steen, the most valuable, the biggest pickup, but Gibbs will be the most fun.
We talked to Clint about the offensive line, and I want your thoughts on the offensive line going into camp. I think a lot of people feel like that's the biggest question mark on this Alabama team.
It really is in my mind. I mean, let's face it. The offensive line was sort of the weak link a year ago. They didn't play to Alabama's standards. I think there's multiple reasons why. I outlined them on the message board, actually, just in the last couple of days. A combination of maybe a little bit lower talent level than Alabama's had, that Alabama's featured on the offensive line. Secondly, true freshmen. You don't want to blame stuff on true freshmen, but the fact of the matter is during the Saban era, there's always been some true freshman offensive lineman that stepped up when needed, whether it was Jonah Williams or Cam Robinson. Alice Leatherwood played a crucial role in the 2017 team as a true freshman offensive lineman. And last year's group that showed up, they were more like normal freshmen than freaks. I mean, they showed up and it was taking them a while to learn it and adjust to blocking SEC defenders. So I don't think there was an instant impact offensive lineman that hurt. I don't think there was the normal talent level. And then Alabama's coach, Doug Marrone, again, not throwing it all at his feet, but he was in a difficult spot too. He was a head coach in the NFL just the year before. Then he shows up and has to coach the offensive line and kind of go from head coach of one of the 32 biggest football organizations in the world to just an offensive line coach in college. I think you add all that stuff up, and it was a rough year. So I think the offensive line has to somehow improve this season, even though they lost their best player. The best player on the offensive line was Evan Neal. Look where he went in the draft. I watched him today on NFL Network. I watched him practice with the New York Giants, and he was the number one right tackle for the New York Giants. He was clearly playing with the first team with the Giants, and he was the best offensive lineman Alabama had. And he's gone. How do you get better on the offensive line when you've already lost your best player? So that's the challenge for Alabama, and that's where I think Tyler Steen has helped things. But I'm actually, believe it or not, optimistic about the group because of Steen's transfer. Emil Ekiyor and Javion Cohen are now experienced players, experienced guards. There's a great competition at center between now two experienced players in Darian Dalcourt and Seth McLaughlin. So, and J.C. Latham will be the young player at right tackle who has a world of ability. So I actually think the offensive line could be improved. Will it be one of the great Saban offensive lines? You're overly optimistic if you think that, but it can be improved over last year, which is all that matters.
Talking with Jimmy Stein on Monday Night Quarterback, brought to you by Westgate Luxury Condominiums. Just kind of got into the offensive line, big question mark. One thing that we know isn't a question mark for, I don't know, it's like the first time in a long time, and I haven't done the math, but both coordinators are back. Pete Golding's back. Bill O'Brien's back. That's got to be good for Alabama.
Yeah, it's been so rare throughout the Saban era that both coordinators return. I think Bill O'Brien, to me, is the big surprise that he's back, just in the sense that there was a lot of interest in him. There's going to be a lot of interest in him. He has an incredible resume from being a head coach at Penn State, being a longtime head coach of the Houston Texans in the NFL, and his offensive coordinator work with the New England Patriots and Tom Brady. Kind of almost surprising that he didn't get the job offer he wanted. Of course, he can be picky. He's got a good job, a good paying job as is. And you have to think he enjoys it working with Bryce Young. But I think having Bill O'Brien back, a little bit of a surprise. Pete Golding has sort of grown into this role. We have to remember as Alabama fans, Pete Golding, when he showed up at Alabama as a co-defensive coordinator in 2018 and then becoming the defensive coordinator in 2019, this was not a role he had previously, certainly not at a Power 5 place like Alabama. I think Pete Golding has learned through his 3 years as the DC. He's turned into a much better recruiter than when he showed up. I think he's actually now one of the better recruiters on the whole staff, and the personnel has improved. And I think Pete Golding is a guy that's sort of growing into it, and I expect to see a high-quality defense this fall. I think it's our best personnel since the 2016 group, and I just have high expectations on that side of the ball. And in terms of whether they'll both be back next year, if Alabama's really good on defense and really good on offense, there are going to be other college programs and even NFL teams that come courting Bill O'Brien. But a huge benefit to Alabama that both are back. It just hasn't happened a lot in the Saban era.
Great stuff, Jimmy. Where can people follow you, and what do you have coming up this week? And tell everyone how they can check it out.
Sure. On Twitter, it's at QB_country. But really where folks can find me is on the Bama Insider message board. Just show up, ask questions. I love to answer questions. I like to ask questions myself. Come to the message board on Bama Insider. We're so excited with all the changes, adding Kyle Henderson, adding Andrew Bone to what we've already had going at On3, which is going to be the best college sports media company in the country. And it's just so exciting to be a part of it. And these big changes this week that we're so excited about. But if you got questions about what's going on the team, just show up on the message board and just ask. I'm happy to talk about it all day long.
Awesome. Great stuff. Thanks, Jimmy.
Thanks, Mick.
We'll be talking with Jimmy Stein and the entire crew throughout the football season. This is just show number 1. But I'm glad we're here, Kyle. It's good to be back again.
Jimmy did a great job, right? It kind of like it's good to get the perspective of the team guy and the expert. I mean, clearly, Jimmy Stein has a lot of knowledge in terms of what he brings. So I'm really curious to kind of get to know these guys more. And Clint, he's always done such a great job. I love his presence on social media as well. I mean, those guys do a really great job. So you always want to work with the best. And of course, Andrew does a great job. Hey, so tomorrow night we got a recruiting show with Andrew Bone. So definitely stay tuned for that. That'll be at 6 p.m. Central Time. We'll continue our regularly scheduled programming as we continue to get closer to the college football season. You have a media availability with Nick Saban on Wednesday. He's got Nick's Kids. That's at Bryant-Denny Stadium. And then, on Thursday, you have the first day of practice. So we'll have some footage from practice along with another Nick Saban availability in the evening time. Probably come back, Clint and I, with a show on Thursday night. Mick, you'll probably host a surprise. You got something going on Thursday, unless you'll be at Floribama hanging out without me. And then on Sunday, you have Media Day, which will be at 10 in the morning. So we'll have Pete Golding, Bill O'Brien, and Nick Saban, one right after another. So we'll have all those press conferences for you right here on Bama Insider on our YouTube channel. So once again, thank you very much for watching our show tonight. We really appreciate you guys. We've almost been doing this for 24 hours today. Monday Night Quarterback, of course, presented by Westgate Luxury Condominiums. You don't have to stay there during just the game day weekends. Anytime you come to Tuscaloosa, tell them that Bama Insider sent you. Go treat yourself to a marble pool or whatever you have over there, because they have it all. Like, even warming up your food in the microwave is fancy, for us over there. So go check it out. Westgate Luxury Condos. Tell them Kyle Henderson or Bama Insider sent you. Mick, why don't you close it out?
Guys, like and subscribe. And you know this already. Like and subscribe and share. Let your friends know where you're watching Alabama football coverage. You're doing it right here on Bama Insider and the On3 network, which is really exciting to be a part of. So special thanks to Clint Lamb and Jimmy Stein, Chris Daughtry behind the scenes doing a great job. And, of course, Kyle Henderson. I'm Mick Gillispie. We'll talk to you next Monday with Monday Night Quarterback, but just be back tomorrow. Keep watching because we got a lot of really cool stuff coming up.